Wednesday, January 22nd.
Now batting for the American League from the New York Yankees, the shortstop, number 2, Derek Jeter. Number 2,
Sicker than your average. I'm a twist cabbage on instinct.
My most memorable moment for him will be his 3,000th hit, the homer off David Price.
Double drill, deep to left field. See ya! 3,000! Derek Jeter stands alone. Cargo, my cargo, 160, swiftly.
Every single day I went out there, I tried to have respect for the game and play it as hard as I possibly could.
I did it here in New York.
Happy Wednesday, everybody. Happy Z-Day, everybody. Glad you're with us. Golic and Wingo, ESPN Radio, ESPN News. We are presented by Progressive Insurance. Our phone guest will join us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Mike Golic Jr., Trey Wingo here with you in studio. And in Cleveland, the legendary Mike Golic, who is there tonight. He's hosting the Cleveland Sports Awards.
Yes, hosting the Cleveland Sports Awards and already in shambles. His dad has been in Cleveland, his hometown, a mere, less than 24 hours at this point, and you've already managed to lose your wallet and dignity, huh, Dad?
Yeah, hello, good morning. Yeah, it was not a great way to start the trip. Now, a lot of times what I'll do when I go on these trips, because I did a thing last night in a place called Brew Nuts, which is fantastic. It's beer and donuts, which in and of itself is a discussion because I never had that mixture, I think, sober. I'm sure I did in other, areas of my life. But it was a great mixture. But I had to go there from the airport. So a lot of times I'll land at the airport and I'll go into one of the bathroom stalls and I'll change and then go right where I need to go. Well, I did that and I took out my wallet, my money, and set it on the, toilet paper dispenser while I changed. And in my way of changing and changed everything and just took everything and left, I made it all the way to the car rental place and reached in for my wallet and realized I had no wallet and went, you got to be kidding me, and went back and I had people check in. I'm saying just let the money be gone. Just let the wallet be there, but nothing. So Chris is canceling credit cards yesterday. I got no credit cards. I got no driver's license. I got no cash. That's how my trip started. So great.
Yeah, well, so you'll be in Cleveland for a while because you can't leave until you get some identification.
I'm hitching back.
Yeah. So we'll see in Miami. That's the way this is going to work.
The real win for humanity is going to be watching my dad try and negotiate and use the Apple Pay on his phone to sustain his life potentially for the next 24 hours. God help everyone in the vicinity.
At least he doesn't have to load a printer. That's the most important thing.
Yeah.
So Mike will be joining us in and out of the conversations from Cleveland. We have a lot to get to. Obviously, I don't know if it's controversy or the curiosity of the one vote that Derek Jeter fell short of unanimous.
It feels like a controversy. The internet is big mad.
Netflix film Don't Bleep with Cats. The sports version is Don't Bleep with Jeets. That's basically what we're doing here. So we'll get into all of that as Bus Rolney will join us in just about 30 minutes. And, of course, it's Zion Williamson Day. Not a zombie apocalypse that we know of.
Yeah, listen,
but Zion is making his NBA debut tonight as the Pelicans take on what's left of the San Antonio Spurs' great dynasty. And you can see that game on ESPN. We've got all that for you, plus all kinds of stuff. But we have to begin with what was just an ugly situation in Lawrence, Kansas last night. And in the waning minutes of the K-State-Kansas game, DeJuan Gordon to Kansas State when they were down by 20 points, and his coach, Bruce Weber, had told the team to back off, stole the ball from Silvio De Souza. He goes down and tries to lay it in, and De Souza comes back and just absolutely blocks it into the next time zone and then stands over him and starts barking. And as he stands over him and starts barking, people come rushing in from both benches. We're not sure who, but someone initiated contact at that point, and then all hell broke loose. There's that picture of De Souza holding up a chair. It got ugly fast, and there are going to be massive ramifications from this.
Yeah, so it really is difficult to try and find the jumping off point for this when we got to the fight portion. Like we said, what happened with Gordon and De Souza on the court, to me, is the most understandable part of this. When you've got a guy going to steal the ball like that in the waning seconds of the game, it's very akin in my mind to in football when you've got people kneeling down at the end of the games. And Dan, I know you and I have gone back jokingly on that at times, talking about, well, you play to the echo of the whistle and all that stuff. But it's one of those moves, especially we know in basketball, the way we look at this stuff, the steal and trying to go for the shot at the end of the game, certainly going to rub people the wrong way, certainly done with that intent in that situation and created a situation where there was going to be tension.
Well, yeah, you and I have gone back and forth on the kneeling, and for me, it's not too much play to the whistle. It was if we were within one score. You never know. You never know what can happen, and I know you and I disagree, but not when you're down more than one score. To me, it's ridiculous on the kneel down and diving at the knees. I completely agree with you on that point. It's always been about one score. This obviously wasn't. This one is on Dwan Gordon. I mean, your coach told you to back off, and you didn't. We saw this one other time earlier this year when this happened as well. And so Gordon plays this out and steals the ball. So now the Kansas player's got a choice. And I think we all know what choice we make when you're like 18 to 22 years old. You can either say, go ahead, dude, get your layup. You know, your guys got smoked this game. Or you can hunt him down like he did because you just got the ball swiped from you in a blowout game. It's something that doesn't normally happen. I think just about all of us would have done exactly what D'Souza did and follow him down there and try and knock the shot off and then stare him down. But listen, in the day of videotape and the day of being able to see all of this, there's going to be massive suspensions going on.
Yeah.
When D'Souza picking up the chair and holding it over his head, I mean, that's going to cost him a ton of time without question. So this turned really ugly, really bad, but it started because the player stole the ball and never should have done that in the first place.
Listen, we had this similar situation play out with the UConn women in terms of fouling, not a brawl, but remember when they were losing to Baylor, what did Gino Auriemma say after the game? How stupid are my kids? They're fouling when they're down 15 points with 3 seconds to go, like there's a 15-point play to be made. The point I'm making in making that comparison is it's useless to do what Dwan Gordon did. By the way, here's how it sounded, and it was a disaster. The final call of the game on Learfield IMG College.
5 seconds to go. Dejuan Gordon with the steal. He will take it down, and it's blocked by Silvio D'Souza. And then he stands over the Wildcat. Uh-oh, we've got a problem now as the bench is empty. You just cannot. Oh, we've got punches thrown now. Oh, no, this is so awful. We've got a brawl going here between KU and K-State with no time on the clock.
Down by the student section.
Yeah, down by the student section to our left.
Near the K-State bench.
And this is a mess. The fans booing. This is not good at all.
It's not good, and it's not going to be good for anybody. Again, they'll sort through the tape, but this is no longer a Kansas basketball issue or a K-State basketball issue. This is a Big 12 issue. This is a administration issue to see what's going on with the penalties that are going to be levied here.
Yeah, Kansas AD Jeff Long came out and said as much, that we're going to work with the Big 12 and Kansas State. This is going to be a decision likely made above their heads in all this one, because it is going to be the biggest story of the day coming into this one. It's going to be the piece of tape that lives forever through this, because it's just something you don't see. We kind of all the time, not necessarily joke, but rib when we get to, when we get to baseball fights, when we get to things like basketball fights,
right.
Generally it just ends up being some pushing and shoving and people get out of the way. No one's really trying to do anything. This fight and everyone involved was about that life in more than one way. I mean, you had coaches. There's a guy in a suit who looks like an assistant coach comes flying across.
In, right. Now, I don't know if he tripped or something, but he was flying across.
I was going to say, it looked pretty reckless in that situation, and so it seems like there's going to be levels, and D'Souza, who's at the center of all this, is already a guy who has missed considerable time this year, missed the entire last season, was at the center of the team's current situation with the FBI investigation with the school, so there are a lot of levels to this, and a guy who already had been not playing a lot of basketball looks like he's in line to be done playing basketball in a Kansas uniform after this.
Right. Dick Vitale, among others, said he should be suspended for the rest of the year. Fran Fraschilla, who was part of this, also said thinks he's gone for a while. We'll have a lot more reaction, including what Bruce Weber, the K-State head coach, and Bill Self, the Kansas coach, had to say about this. So we'll get to that throughout the morning. Plus, we are ready for Zion Williamson's NBA debut. What should be realistic expectations of what we'll see and how much we'll see of the big man? We'll get to that next. Golic and Wingo, ESPN Radio.
Time to get you caught up on a little bit of what is trending. Derek Jeter misses the unanimous Hall of Fame election by one vote. Derek Jeter and Larry Walker were the only two elected to the class of 2020. Jeter fell one vote short of joining his teammate Mariano Rivera of being the second unanimous selection in consecutive years. His 99.7% of the vote was second all time. Ken Griffey Jr. with 99.3% now has the third highest vote total. Walker, by the way, appeared on 304 ballots, 6 above the 75% needed in his 10th and final appearance on the Baseball Writers Association ballot, up from 54.6% last year. They will be inducted July 26th at the Hall in Cooperstown, along with catcher Ted Simmons and former Players Association head Marvin Miller, who were voted in last month's Hall's Modern Era Committee. Meanwhile, Coco Gauff advances with a 3-set win in the Australian Open to set up a showdown with the defending champion Naomi Osaka. The 15-year-old Gauff is the first American woman to reach the third round in each of her first 3 major appearances since Jennifer Capriati did it in 1990. Last year, Osaka beat Gauff in the U.S. Open. Gauff said, quote, "I know what to expect. I'm excited for a good match." And tonight, Zion Williamson expected to make his long-awaited NBA debut at 9:30 p.m. Eastern on ESPN. Williamson will not be on a strict minutes restriction in his debut against the San Antonio Spurs. He will reportedly be in the starting lineup. Remember, Zion had surgery back on October 21st to repair a meniscus in his right knee. The original timetable was 6 to 8 weeks, but Wednesday will mark nearly 13 and a half weeks since the surgery. Quote, Williamson said, "There's a lot of times when I wanted to punch a wall or kick chairs because it's that frustrating." And that is what is trending, brought to you by Redbox. Redbox has the newest movies fresh from the theater for under $2 a night. Head to the box or stream on demand.
All right, Golic and Wingo with you. Glad you're with us. We are presented by Progressive Insurance. All phone guests will join us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Mike Golic, who is in Cleveland, will join us through the magic of technology, and we're very happy about that as we get set for Zion Williamson's NBA debut. Among the other things he said, as opposed to what Junior was just listening off, he said he's going to have a tough time sleeping last night. Hey, I can relate as he gets set.
I too can relate from the difficulty.
Zion and I have something in common. It's wonderful. Yeah. As he gets set for his NBA debut. So the question then becomes, okay, we've been all waiting for this literally since his name came out of the ping pong ball for the New Orleans Pelicans, what to expect. So what are realistic expectations in terms of his impact and also how much he's going to play? Our Tim Legler actually thinks he's coming back or beginning his NBA career at the absolute perfect time.
So I'm excited for myself to watch him, for the league, for the fans. This guy's entertainment value, but he's also a very efficient basketball player. And now he's coming back to a team that has a lot of confidence. I think that's a great thing for him.
It certainly is, because we're talking about a team that went a month without a win earlier in the season.
Lost 13 straight at one point during the season.
Right. And Mike, you're in Cleveland, obviously, and this is probably the most anticipated NBA debut since someone named from the Cleveland area did it, and LeBron James. And we're all trying to figure out what are absolutely realistic expectations here.
You're right. And obviously the difference is, LeBron was from here, so that added to it. But still, to your point, you're absolutely right. The excitement, this is league-wide excitement, certainly in New Orleans, but league-wide as well. I have a feeling, listen, this is a unbelievably athletic teenager who has had to kind of bottle up his emotions and wait till the start of his NBA career. I would imagine he is going to come out of the gate, and if you're going to get a SportsCenter top 10 moment, it's going to be in the first 3 minutes of the game, because this dude is going to be so hyped. So his vertical may be about 5 inches higher early on in this game, because he is just kind of ready to explode. So, and I know there's going to be so much talk. He hasn't even started yet. Is he even going to be the best guy in his class 5 years, 10 years from now? There is definitely time for that discussion, but let's just all enjoy this. I mean, we enjoyed it when he was at Duke and we got to watch those games. Everybody tuned in, and we're going to enjoy this because we can watch it at more of a normal time. And so Zion's here to save the NBA. And as I said, the first 3 to 5 minutes, this kid is going to jump out of his shoes.
And Trey, you keep mentioning realistic expectations. There are none. Yeah. That is not possible in this situation. Firmly believe that. I honestly, there is no way we're going to assess what Zion does in any sort of measured or reasonable or understandable way. We are going to every time he steps on the court, oscillate between this is the next greatest thing we've ever seen, and he is already an untimely bust in all this. The only thing I can ask and hope for in this process is that he stays healthy during it, because all the things Dad just mentioned there lend themselves to a guy that's probably going to push harder than he should coming back. This isn't LeBron in his 17th year who understands that, okay, this is a long season. I know what we're playing for and all this. I have to make sure I take care of myself along the way. This is a kid. This is a teenage kid who, for as put together and composed as he sounds, is going to go out there with that energy, wants to attack. This has been chomping at the bit, been kicking, wants to kick chairs and stuff like that to get out there. So just stay healthy, and I'll live with all of the hot takery that surrounds him.
Right. We see these massive human beings, whether they're in college or early on in their development in the pros, and they look like fully formed, functioning adults, and then you realize they're 19. Or they're 18, or they're 20, and you realize, okay, how we see them isn't how really they are, right? And that has to go through this process. So in terms of what to expect, you heard Tim Legler say he's coming back at a right time, but in terms of what to expect out of Zion himself, once again, back to Legolas.
Because he's a lot more than just a guy that has to go over you. He can go around you. He can shoot a ball with touch with either hand on finishes, and for me, that's why I think he's going to have immediate success, Zubin, at the NBA level and an immediate impact.
I think that is the part, too, that we've forgotten because of the long span of time. We joked about this last year with LeBron James down the stretch of the season. Because he wasn't in the postseason, we started having all these conversations about almost a league without him. It was, all right, well, Kevin Durant has taken over the mantle. Kawhi Leonard's taken. And then LeBron James comes back this year and like, oh, wait, he can do that stuff. That's what Zion's going to be like. He's an incredible ball handler. That guy was a great passer in the open court. He does so many things besides the highlight reel.
Exactly, but we all want the highlight reel, right? That's the thing we want. Zion, you're out there. Do that thing that made college basketball ESPN last year. That's what we're looking for here. And again, the game tonight will be on ESPN between the Raptors and the Pelicans. Not the Raptors, excuse me, the Spurs and the Pelicans. But as for how many minutes he'll actually be on there, here's our senior NBA insider, Adrian Wojnarowski.
Well, they're going to limit his minutes, Sage, anywhere maybe from 15 to 22, have him play more in quick bursts and get him out of there, and then build as time goes. Listen, this is a team that he returns to that is playing very well. Lonzo Ball's playing the best basketball of his career. Brandon Ingram became an all-star while Zion Williamson was out. So he comes back to a team now that thinks maybe it can make a run at that 8th playoff spot. They're 3.5 games back.
Mike, I guess the best way to describe what we think we're going to see tonight is like a really good appetizer, but the meal's coming later.
Well, exactly. And I think one other thing to point out, remember one of the things these young, one and dones come into the league. In college, they're playing high 20s, low 30s of games, and all of a sudden they're going to an 82-game schedule, right? So and they don't know what that's like. It just like we talk about rookies in the NFL, do they hit that wall? Well, here for Zion, now he's coming off of an injury, but still they're 30, they have 38 more games. So that quite honestly is more akin to like a long college basketball season, making it through the tournament as far as playing in the 30s a number of games. So he doesn't have to worry about that 82-game schedule. I'm sure he rather would have and not had the injury. But from a timing aspect, at least from his body-wise, once he starts playing, it's going to be like basically a long college season, something I know we only played one of and got hurt in it, but it's certainly different than playing 82 games.
Right. So, again, just understand what you're going to see tonight and what you're not going to see tonight. You're not getting the full experience. This is like a movie trailer that's dropped, and that's coming out in a week, right? That's what they just dropped the trailer on YouTube, but the movie doesn't come out to the theaters probably for another 10 days.
I appreciate you trying to be measured in this, Trey. This is like when Tiger Woods was coming back, and I was trying to protect myself from being hurt. The minute he catches one in the open court and puts someone on a poster, all of that goes out the window, and we immediately start expecting the House of Hoops highlights.
I'm with you. I'm just saying you're not going to get it.
Right, but we might.
If they're limiting his minutes, I think we're going to see just a little bit enough to go, ooh, I'm interested.
That guy is going to put down some dunk tonight. You can. I know it's in Thursday. You can run and book that one. Zion is going to put one down tonight that we're going to loop on SportsCenter for the next day and a half.
You can book it.
There it is. So, see, this is perfect because the game is really a tease for what's coming ahead, and you just tease book it coming on Thursday. It all comes together, and I made it simple for your dad because I talked about it in food. All right, so coming up next, he wore number 2, but he will now be infamous because of number 1. We'll get to that after this.
After this word from Straight Talk Wireless, it's time for some Straight Talk. The big wireless carriers try and wow you with big deals, but the savings are very little. With Straight Talk Wireless, you get the exact same networks as the big guys, but saving up to half the cost. Right now, you can get the unlimited plan with up to 25 gigs of high-speed data, then 2G, for just $45 a month. No contract, no mystery fees, all with nationwide coverage on America's largest and most dependable 4G LTE networks. Straight Talk Wireless, only at Walmart. The hunt for number one, next on Golic and Wingo.